guys, I'm here to give you guys a 2-year review of the Iron 883 from 2020. And considering that this is my second year review, if you guys are looking to check out the first ride impressions or the first year review, I'm going to link those videos below so I don't have to repeat myself on some of the stuff that I already explained to my viewers. Now, the way the 2-year review is going to look like is I'm going to talk about some of the modifications and upgrades I've done to my Iron 883 and how I feel as a rider that has about 2 years of experience being on multiple different bikes, thanks to the opportunities that I got for starting up this motorcycle channel and being able to ride different types of bikes, and whether or not this still stands as a good bike for me and continuing on towards the third year of owning this Iron 883. So without further ado, let's get going. Alright, so first let's talk about the upgrades I've done to the Iron 883. So if you watch my first year review, you would know that I did a 4-inch riser on my handlebar to give me a little bit more comfortable riding style where handlebars are slightly higher and therefore my back is straighter when I'm riding. And as well, I've done this aesthetic upgrade, which is putting on stock roadster seat onto my Iron 883. And I put on Vance & Hines twin/slash slip-ons so that my Harley Iron 883 can actually sound like a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. And finally, the crash bars to make sure that this newbie rider don't wreck the bike if or when I end up dropping it. Now, in my second year of riding, I decided to go a little bit further on modifications. So as you can see here, I put on the Memphis Shades Cafe fairing, which was an interesting way of installing this. So if you haven't checked that out, click on the video that I will link below. And one of the biggest things that I've done this year that I should have done earlier was putting on upgraded rear suspension, which is the progressive suspension for 12s, and this has paid dividends on my back and towards my riding because now I can lean a little bit more aggressively without having to touch down on the pegs on sharp corners, and when I go over certain bumps or potholes, it absorbs way better than my stock rear shocks. So that was an upgrade that I did this year that I wish I had done in the first season. And then lastly, there was another upgrade that you've probably seen is an LED halo headlamp, and this was purely aesthetic because I like the ring light and it was fairly cheap, about $35 to $50 from Amazon, and yeah, it's holding up pretty good and it's definitely brighter than my stock headlamp. So why did I decide to do a bunch of upgrades to this Iron 883? And the answer to that really is because I kind of got tired of it. There was a phase where I think halfway through this year or halfway through this season, I started to get the itch of getting rid of the Iron 883 and trading it in for a different motorcycle, whether it's a Harley-Davidson or a whole different style of a motorcycle. I just had that itch because after riding the same bike over a year, you kind of develop this wanting to try different bikes. And lucky for me, from having this motorcycle channel, I get the opportunity to ride a lot of different bikes. And you would think that itch dissipates if you get to go try different bikes, but that's not true. You actually end up getting more hungrier on different styles and different types of bikes for different circumstances. And for this season, I had the chance to do a lot of activities. I brought the Iron 883 to a racetrack by taking the cornering course from Traction Works, so I really got to feel what the Sportster Iron 883 was capable of, especially on cornering, speed, and brakes. And I wasn't really impressed with my bike, and that was kind of a letdown for me as a rider because I really wanted to improve as a rider on that course, but there was a limitation on this bike that pushed me towards upgrading the motorcycle itself or putting modifications onto the Iron 883 to improve its riding capability, which is why I went directly for the rear shock upgrade, which has paid its dividends and renewed the love for my Iron 883 once again. Now, does that mean I have outgrown this Iron 883 as a motorcyclist? Well, no, because this is a really capable motorcycle, and even though it's a smaller displacement compared to other bigger cruisers, especially if you compare it to the Softail lineup, which goes up to like 1700 to 1800 cc's, but depending on your riding style and what you want to use it for, which for me is mostly a commuter bike and city riding, then this bike is going to be perfect for your riding style. It's not a fast bike, as I mentioned multiple times, and probably other reviewers have done the same thing, but it is a bike that is capable of doing a lot of things. Now, do I feel that this bike has a lack of power? Yeah, I mean, in some ways, after riding different Softails and sport naked bikes, yeah, if I compare all of that to the Iron 883, this bike definitely has the least amount of performance, but man, it still looks fucking good. And half the reason I got into motorcycling is to look good and feel good, and this bike definitely still provides that for me. But I know as a rider, I am starting to feel the itch of getting a different bike, or at least different style bike, and I don't know if this is going to survive another season with me. Who knows? Maybe a year from now, you'll see the review of the Iron 83 after owning it for 3 years. But for now, I'm going to continue on tinkering and modifying the Iron 83 to continuously rejuvenate my love for the Iron 83. And that's kind of the best part about having this bike. It is so easy to work on that a newbie like me who's never worked on a bike before can confidently watch a YouTube video and following step by step on how to modify the bike without the fear of possibly breaking the bike, because it is so user friendly that anyone can work on it. So I think going forward, what I'm going to do is probably use the Sportster Iron 83 for a bike that I will train on as a new mechanic, and then take the time to actually learn how to maintain the motorcycle by changing the oils, doing big upgrades such as putting in the big bore kit here that gives me that 1200cc of displacement for the Iron 83, and maybe that's enough to suppress my appetite for more power for the Sportster. But yeah, it's a little different review from my last year where I went through the pros and cons, but I figure that if you're watching this right now, it's probably because you are looking for some answers on how quickly a rider outgrows their Sportster Iron 83. And I can tell you, it was about a year and a half mark where I really felt like I needed a bigger bike, but I decided not to because I still have this love for the Evolution engine. And after having ridden the new Revolution Max Sportsters, I can tell you, if you truly want a Harley-Davidson feel of a motorcycle, the Sportster Iron 83 or any of the Evolution Sportsters, I would say that's probably the most authentic Harley you can get as new today. So with that said, if you wish to continue on following my journey of owning the Iron 83 and seeing what I do for my 3rd year, click that subscribe button and follow along as I continue to learn how to maintain this motorcycle and do potential upgrades. There is an idea of putting on saddlebags, and it's a bit of a DIY project that I thought about. I'm not sure how that's going to work out. And alongside with that is going to be a customized sissy bar that's going to accompany that. For my 2nd year review here, I would say as a rider, I'm starting to outgrow it pretty quickly, but because there's so much to learn on a bike and for you to tinker with, it can still be a long-term keeper if you have that kind of mindset. Ride safe, ride prepared, ride on. Peace.